What's up, guys? Welcome back to Rich Boys News. This is your boy, Deshaun Richardson.
And your girl, Shamir Rich.
Hope everybody's doing swell. So today we have a special guest with us today, the one and only TJDAProdigy.
What's up, y'all? What's up?
Not much is going on. How are you today?
Hey, not too bad, man. I'm recovering from a workout I had yesterday, but I'm good, excited for the WWE draft tomorrow. Hopefully it's better than Friday because they left a lot to be desired, so...
Yeah, guys, TJDAProdigy has his own podcast on Periscope. It's at TJDAProdigy. Check him out. Yep. He goes live every day, right?
Basically.
Yeah, almost every day, nothing but wrestling. So today's topic is obviously about wrestling. So to get started, man, a little bit of background about yourself. So how did you get into wrestling?
Well, I've been a wrestling fan since I've been 7 years old. And I grew up in Chicago. And all the elementary schools I went to never had any wrestling team, so I didn't play any sports until high school, basically. Nothing serious. Everybody played playground ball or something like that. But growing up, they didn't have any wrestling teams in Chicago. So my freshman year in high school, in my homeroom class, I'm in this random chemistry lab, and I was helping the guy at the time. My school was disorganized and a mess, and the guy was helping organize the class. He was a chemistry teacher. Come to find out, he was a wrestling coach that wanted to start a wrestling team. So me and him started the wrestling team together, and that was the first wrestling team at my particular high school in 25 years. So I'm proud to say that I started my wrestling team when I was in high school. But as far as professional wrestling, I started watching when I was 7 years old or whatever, and I was lucky enough to be 7 during the Attitude Era, so I watched what I consider the best time period in wrestling. And ever since then, I've just been hooked. But as far as amateur, I was 15, and I've been watching pro wrestling since I've been 7 years old.
When did you know you wanted to be a wrestler? You know what I mean? When did you know you want to go pro?
I would say around high school, when all of us figured out our lives as adults, I was like, they wanted me to be a lawyer. I was a good debater, and that translates to my promo skills, and you'll hear on my podcast, sometimes I'll get riled up, but my teachers wanted me to be a lawyer, but I was like, I don't know. I grew up, I saw how corrupt it was, because the high school I went to, all the black attorneys came from that high school. So they wanted me to be a lawyer, and I was like, I don't know how it is, because the system seemed to be against black males, which I want to help. So right then and there, people always told me I had the gift of gab and pretty good oratory skills and writing skills. So I was like, man, I already like pro wrestling, and I like to inspire kids through hero images, because I consider pro wrestlers to be heroes, So I would say around high school, I just knew pretty much I wanted to be a wrestler after that, pro wrestler.
What's the biggest distinction? Because I know from fan to wrestler, how different is the viewpoint of it? Because it's now what you're doing versus just watching on TV. So is there anything that you've noticed that's different as far as just from a fan to being in the ring?
It's a lot of misconceptions fans have about wrestlers being in the ring. For example, it could look like somebody messed up a spot in wrestling, but it's a lot of pettiness, just like any other industry. It's a lot of pettiness. I'm sure football players, basketball players, all athletes experience this, but it's another level of pettiness in wrestling where, for example, when I first started training, I would run the ropes. They will always, and I've trained in a lot of racist states, not to make this a racist podcast, but it's a reality. Racism exists in sports. When I first trained in Knoxville, I noticed a lot of guys there, they just felt threatened by me. And I'm not a big guy. I'm 5'8", 200 pounds. I'm not a very big guy. They was 6'3", 6'4", but it's just certain jealousness that black athletes can just feel when you're in a room or whatever. And wrestling is already a predominantly white sport. So they will always, I think, because I was always kind of confident in class, I would work hard. They'd try to blow me up, as in run you until you get tired. And they wouldn't get me with that. So what they'll do is they would try to pair me with the biggest guy in the class. He'd be 6'8", 300 pounds. I'm looking like, how the fuck can I cuss on this show? Or y'all don't allow cussing on y'all show?
You good.
No, man, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll be like, what the fuck? Why y'all got me going against this 300 pound, 6'8" dude? They want me running the ropes. And they'd be like, if you stop everybody doing drop down drills. But he's slower than me, so obviously I'm gonna be able to move faster. And they was like, try not to bump into each other. So that's just something I would notice. They would try to put me against bigger guys. And it's a lot of pettiness. People try to stick it to you and be like, oh, I'm gonna make him tired so it could look like he messed the whole class up. So, but to answer your original question, fans think oh man, he's not trying that hard in the ring. No, sometimes they'll be doing good, and your opponent, if they don't like you, they'll try to mess you up in the ring. and then it looks like you messed up, but they really messed you up. So it's a lot that I would say that a lot of that's something I had to learn to stop being so judgmental or whatever, especially when I got in the ring and I saw that sometimes it can be that person. It might not be you, you know, so.
Fall back on the promoter, you know, because I know, like, in wrestling, if the whole point is to make sure both of the entertainers are in there making sure each other is safe. So to have some guy in there who's purposely trying to hurt you, or at least trying to make you look bad, how does the promoter react to that backstage?
It honestly depends on the relationship between the wrestler and the promoter. Let's say he's like John Cena type level, where he's the top guy. It's more stuff he can get away with, even though you know he's wrong. It depends on how the promoter like him. Case in point, Randy Orton will be a better example than John Cena now that I'm thinking about it. Randy Orton has failed 3 drug tests in WWE. Everybody else know once you fail 3 drug tests, you supposed to get fired, basically. But Randy Orton, with his name and him being an Orton and him knowing the family, obviously the rules get bent for him. Whereas a guy like, let's say, a No Way Jose, a guy that's lower on the card, he might get one chance to fail a drug test and they can take him out of a big match. So things like that, I would say it depends on the wrestler promotion type relationship. And it's a lot of favoritism. Like I said, wrestling is one of the most petty businesses you just got to be there to see it because it's so competitive. Like the NFL might have 300 players with a lot of backups. The NBA might have 150 to 200 players. Wrestlers is only 60 spots on camera that you can get, you know what I mean? So everybody's cutting each other's throats to try to get jobs and things like that. So
has anybody tried to hurt you or anything like that, you know, in the training, anything like that?
You know what? God blessed me to pick up on stuff like that quick. I would say people attempted to, and I was smart enough to like, no, I'm not about to do that. Like, for example, they lift you up and you're trained to know, like a wrestler is to know, like, okay, we give each other signals to when you got me fully grasped to pick me up. If I don't give you that signal, don't take me off my feet, basically. So it's been a couple guys where they lift me up and I'm like, I'm not ready. And they try to lift me up and you do something like that. Like I said, I'm not ready. Don't lift me up yet. So they've tried. Thankfully, I've never been hurt because I know how to pick up on it. I can tell when somebody's trying to be petty with me. So I just go to the coach later, like, I'm not working out with him no more. I don't care what you say. I'm just not working out with him. It's happened a few times. I can give you an example this past 2 weeks. The school I'm training at in Chicago. Not to jump y'all questions. I don't know if y'all was going to ask me who I was trained by. If y'all were, I'm not going to say that part yet. Y'all was going to ask me. Okay, so I'll give you a brief example. I'm not going to tell you who I was trained by. Something in Chicago. I didn't start my training in Chicago. I started in Knoxville, but I'll wait for y'all on that. Chicago recently, because obviously I can't go to Knoxville every day. I live in Chicago. That's a 2-hour plane ride. I'm not doing that all the time, especially during COVID. So I found a school in Chicago. The guy is not that known, but when I went to the school and saw that he had his ring looked safe, his wrestlers look okay, they had COVID protocol and all of that. It looks fine. So I'm like, okay, the school looks fine aesthetically, but I still don't know the politics of the people. So I was only training there for like a month. I literally just stopped training last week because I ran into one of these petty things we were just talking about. I was in the ring. The first 2 weeks went good. They were showing me the basics, how to hit the ropes, all that type of stuff, how to fall properly, how to proper in-ring etiquette. That was fine. But I just needed the consistency. You know, you can learn something once, but you don't have it down packed. That's when practice comes in. So I would tell him every day, I would like, I need to practice more on this. And he'd be like, I want you to shoot wrestle this guy for real. Now I have an amateur wrestling background. I can't defend myself, but I'm not paying you hundreds of dollars for us to, and you know, for them, it was like they were jerking themselves. All like, man, they were getting something out of us, seeing us hurt each other and stuff like that. And I noticed that. I said, bro, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you. I don't do stuff like that. You're not gonna sit here and try to make me wrestle this guy for your entertainment. Unless we're doing a pro wrestling match, that's fine. But he was trying to make us amateur wrestle each other. And I got in his face. I said, bro, I told you I don't do that. This is the second time I had to tell you that I don't play them type of games where I could tell you trying to get us to shoot on each other. So I left the school. I told them don't charge my card anymore for the money and all of that. But that's the example right there with how petty people can be if you don't go to the right trainer. And after this, I'm only going to get trained by professional people because the person that originally trained me is the best trainer in wrestling. But I'm going to let y'all get to that.
Who did train you in Knoxville?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Dr. Tom Pritchard, Bruce Pritchard's brother. He's a former NWA Tag Team Champion. He originally trained me in Knoxville, but when I went to his school, it was only a 2-day training camp. So I didn't learn. It was 30 of us there. So he obviously couldn't pay individual attention to me. And he got 29 other people to work with. So going forward, I'm going to only do his like 12-week camps because I read good reviews. And I know people, I met a lot of people at his camp that were training. They were there just to keep themselves from getting rusty. This was my very first time ever getting in the ring with him. And they wrestled 4 or 5 years. They was like, I could tell you Dr. Tom is legit. So I'm only gonna deal with people like him. Yeah, everybody knows Booker T. Booker T has a school down in Houston, Texas. Jazz has a school in Texas. Her and her husband, Rodney Mack. Ricky Morton has a school in North Carolina. I'm gonna go on tours while I just do their schools. Because all these other guys, they have the mentality that you should go through the indies and break your body up before you got to go to WWE. Anybody that's smart knows always multiple ways to make it to another company. They just want you to do that so you can just particularly stay with them. And like I said, God blessed me to be able to pick up on pettiness very quickly. And I'm just not going to deal with schools like that anymore. Sure.
But you mentioned a word there, shoot. And you hear it a lot around the wrestling community. So explain what shooting means.
So shooting is like, because most people had it's 2 words. Kayfabe, which means stay in character, keep all the stuff that most people would consider fake between the 2 wrestlers. That's what the word kayfabe means. Shoot is when you take 2 guys and they go in there, one might have a legitimate wrestling background, one might have been a legit boxer, and you let them go at it and see who wins. That's what shoot means. Like, we're for real. We're going at each other for real.
So,
what about heat? I remember you mentioned heat. Yeah, what about heat?
Heat is like when somebody's angry at you, but usually it's used within the context of somebody important like management. For example, let's say Vince McMahon. You have it's multiple ways from what I read. I obviously never met Vince McMahon, but it's multiple ways you can get heat with Vince McMahon, who's the top dog in the wrestling business. Like, he's so erratic, like all the things that make him mad change kind of on the day or whatever. So, for example, one thing that's known about Vince, he does not like people sneezing. Vince McMahon is a hardcore. Yes, it's crazy. Yes, it's crazy.
Wait,
what? He don't like when people sneeze in his meetings. If you sneeze, he gets angry, and that can mess up your push. Like, you could have been going for the U.S. title. Next week, you're not going for it because you sneeze in Vince McMahon meeting. I swear to God, I cannot make this up. He hates when people sneeze because Vince McMahon hates anything he can't control. And sneezing is an involuntary act. You can't control yourself sneezing. So that's a big pet peeve of Vince McMahon. So something silly like that can get you heat with Vince. But overall, the definition of heat is when basically your coworkers or management is upset at you. That's all it is.
How important is kayfabe nowadays? Because, everyone has social media. Everyone's got, and you have wrestlers, like I say Matt Hardy, for example. I think he does a great job of balancing that out as far as, keeping kayfabe, but also kind of.
Are you just saying that because he's from North Carolina?
Well, yeah, he's a great example. Matt
Hardy.
I love Matt.
Yeah, tell us about that. How important is kayfabe?
It's very important, and I want to play a villain character, and I think it'd be easier for me because a lot of people hate that I'm kind of Pan-African. Black people can't be patriotic. That's considered like offensive to even though everybody else is allowed to be. But my character is very heavily I wouldn't say nationalist, but it leans kind of towards that way. Like the nation domination, but taken seriously. Like, I legitimately want people, like back in the 70s, that people would throw pee on you and they would throw pennies at you that's how you know you're a good villain. When you get people throwing stuff, like, I want that type of heat to come back. I feel like wrestlers now are afraid to be villains because they're afraid of the social media backlash, or they're afraid of what their friends going to perceive them. So to answer your question, heat is very important now because it's very few people that do it. You'll get like a Baron Corbin. I'm a big Baron Corbin fan from WWE. You'll get like a MJF from AEW. He's an excellent heel. But other than that, every other heel is kind of like cookie cutter. Damon Finn Balor, very popular character. He's a bad heel. He was the Damon character talking about, I'm the baddest MFer and all of this. He's on Twitter having frappuccinos with people he's in a feud with. And I'm looking like, bro, what are you? And I go at people, and I've been blocked by wrestlers because I say, y'all need to learn how to keep kayfabe. And they get up mad and block me. It's been a lot of people that's blocked me over there, yeah. But I don't care because I love the business. I'm going to preserve it as much as possible. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I can see you're very knowledgeable of like wrestling, man. Like, listen to your podcast, like you're very knowledgeable.
You heard my podcast before?
Yeah, because I was from the interview with Shamira. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
Oh, you're very knowledgeable, man. For real. I gotta give props for that.
Thank you.
He's like I won't say Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette knows everything about wrestling.
A young Jim Cornette, yeah.
Yeah. But I want to get into the whole training thing. So you mentioned how you've want to go on tour and everything to visit different schools. So what's the best route for an up and coming, or let's say a young guy or girl who's looking into getting to the industry When's the best time to start?
As young as possible. Let's say you could start at 18. I'm 29, so I'm getting in the game kind of late. But mentally, I wasn't prepared at 18 to really navigate the wrestling business, because wrestling business is something you definitely have to be mature, because you're on the road. You got to drive from city to city. That burnout comes with that. And when you're young, you don't really have the focus to drive from city to city 3 to 10 hours at a time. That's something that just comes with age. Because when you're younger, you want to speed in the car, which going through the South, when you black, that could be crazy. Like, you can get killed over a speeding ticket. So the maturation level definitely has to be there. So I would say as young as possible, if you have a good support system, definitely as young, like if you got your parents supporting you. One of my good friends now, she's from South Carolina. You might have met her. She's the only other girl in our group chat, Marissa. She's 20 years old, soon to be 21. She wants to train right now, but her parents is like, we kind of scared for you to travel during the COVID. So she always reaches out to me and say, can you help me and all this? I said, if your parents are comfortable meeting me, I can help train. So just things like that. Some parents, the information they're given about wrestlers is kind of like, well, isn't wrestling like a old white people sport? Like, it's a lot of misconceptions people have. So you definitely need a support system when it comes to being a pro wrestler, because it's like, as I said, the politics that go along with it, by it being a predominantly white sport, your parents having all these crazy misconceptions like, oh, I want you to play basketball or football or baseball if you go pro. Like, blacks we don't really think about our kids becoming pro wrestlers like that. So, yeah, definitely young as possible if you have the proper support system.
How long do you think it takes to become a pro wrestler? Like, you know, with the training and stuff like that going on, like.
It's all. One of the things I love about wrestling is it's basically dependent on you. It's very entrepreneurial. So if you kind of passionate like me, like I'm very passionate, I feel like people, and I'm not trying to brag on myself, but I feel like when people hear my podcast, they kind of tell that I'm genuine. And a lot of my guest hosts, they shoot from the hip. They don't have to parrot everything I say, but we shoot from the hip on my show. That's why I warn everybody. Like, most of the times when my show start off, this shit is not for everybody. I will tell you that. If you easily triggered or something, my show, and I get that vibe from y'all, and I've only been talking to y'all for a few minutes, I can tell that y'all really tell the truth on y'all show. And it sounds professional. When I clicked on it on Instagram, y'all shit, I'm like, man, I need to learn from them. You know, so
I appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, get a microphone, man. Get a mic.
Oh, yeah, I'm working on getting a mic. I'm working on it.
So you do.
But getting into the wrestling business, it depends on you. Like I said, you'll run into those people that at the school I was in Chicago, I'm surprised y'all didn't ask me what this word meant. The word mark. It's a lot of marks in wrestling. Like, people that's like, think they know what's going on, but they only watch it and buy tickets. A lot of wrestlers, believe it or not, they think like marks. They think, oh, I'm going to go in the ring and do all my moves. Now, nobody's going to pay to see it because you showed it to them. Nobody saves a finishing move no more. I want to do 80 flips. I'm completely against that. So you can run into the marks that want you to break your body up for the business, which I'm totally against. Or you can run into the people that are like The Rock. A lot of people hate on The Rock. I love The Rock. They be like, oh, man, he went to Hollywood. Any smart adult, wrestling as a TV show is acting. Only people that take it serious is the marks. They think it's real. Oh, respect the business. Break your neck for the business. First of all, wrestling don't have insurance. I'm not breaking my neck for the business. I'm going to do what's best for me and for my brand. And then I love wrestling, of course, but if I break my neck, there's no insurance in wrestling. So it's all about your mindset. I try to tell everybody, like, try to adopt the type of mindset that I have where you going in there for yourself. You going to respect the business, but you going in there for yourself because the wrestling business don't love you back. It's a lawsuit right now that just got dropped, a concussion lawsuit of people that were in wheelchairs and all that WWE never paid. So I try to pick up on things like that early. And I was like, man, the wrestling business don't love you back. Just like a lot of other sports industries. Wrestling is the only sport that don't give their athletes pension after they retire. It's crazy. You know, so yeah, I would say it all depends on you. Always, like, first of all, have your brand. I've been establishing my brand for 2 years. So establish your brand before you become a wrestler, because everybody should either go to AEW or WWE if you're trying to make serious money. If you're trying to make money, WWE and AEW is the two places to go right now. But they'll go in there and they'll give you a character that they want you to use, but they own it. And when you leave, they're going to sell your merchandise and not give you nothing for it. So I'm in a position now where, let's say I go to Vince McMahon, I have a character already. My Prodigy character, that's all my stuff. A lot of it, I got an LLC feed already. That's my logo, all of that. So when I go to Vince, it's to take it or leave it. So I try to encourage wrestlers to look at it that type of way. But hey, if you want to be a mark, that's your business. I don't want to work with you, but I'm not hating on you. I'm a live and let live type guy. You know what I mean? I just don't want to wrestle you.
You know what? That's very, because I think most people don't know that. You guys are kind of like independent contractors in a way when it comes to
quote unquote.
Yeah, like this wrestling business.
Right.
And you're so right about how the industry kind of in a way does not love you back. And I think even there's some fans who kind of don't, for instance, I don't want to go off track here, but I've seen so many fans who feel like the stories other wrestlers tell, they take them to heart. Like for the Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart situation. I don't know if that was a work or not, but it's amazing how fans can take one word of a wrestler. They'll hold on to it no matter what the other wrestler says. If it's true or not, they say, oh no, that man has a history of lying. They'll hold on to it, and now the hatred towards that other wrestler. So it's just it's more real than it is for the work. And for an up and coming wrestler, like you say, you have to educate yourself. And I want to ask you, when you're joining these schools, do they teach that? Are they teaching how to?
It depends on the coach. It depends on the coach. Some coaches, like the one I ran into in Chicago, he's out for himself. He's a mark. He literally and unfortunately, a lot of the wrestlers that attend that school that are current members, they are brainwashed by him. Like they think oh no, he's gonna have our back. Like I was asking him what is a long term, because the school wasn't cheap. It's a $300 down payment plus $100 a month. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? For you to be playing around with me and not teaching me the way. And he was presenting the class like he's doing me a favor. Like he paying me like it's a free class or something. Like, no, I'm paying you, so you're gonna do what I say. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, he has them on a leash, and a lot of them are like, no, I gotta pay my due on the indies first. Bro, if you see the way every day somebody is tagging me on my Twitter page of a wrestler making one silly mistake and he's ended his career, he's breaking his neck. One power drive on the apron can break your neck. One bad flip off the rope where you slip and fall breaks your neck. And I see that almost every day, and I'm looking like, if y'all ignoring this, everybody's in denial. He literally just broke his neck, and everybody's, you got a power drive on the apron and all this silly type of stuff. But it depends on the teacher. Honestly, some of them, they want to feed you their narrative. But if you get a good teacher like a Booker T, who I haven't heard one bad thing. Booker T trained Ember Moon. So just a reference to somebody in W, he trained her. Nobody ever has anything bad to say about Booker T. Jazz is a great trainer. So if you get these little guys, because everybody think they can start a wrestling promotion. Oh, I rent out a place and I buy a ring. Now I'm a wrestling promoter. No, you're not. You got to have the knowledge and the brain to be a wrestling promoter. So it just, in the short, it just depends, honestly, on the coach.
How did you come up with Prodigy? Your character.
A lot of people ask me that. On the old wrestling games, it was a lot of corny sounding wrestling. This is going to be a two-parter answer to your question. One of it is from picking video game characters. Like, you create a wrestler on, like, let's say SmackDown, one of the old games. A lot of the black characters, it's like corny names, like that's not associated with our culture. And it's something about Prodigy. I'm like, that sticks out a little bit. And then prior to that, I didn't know what the definition of Prodigy was. I looked it up and I was like, this kind of sound like me. Because when I was in school, I went to Chicago public school, one of the worst public schools for black talent in the country. I'm sure there's others, but I only can speak for Chicago. But Chicago, I would daydream a lot. And I didn't realize that I was a lot more intelligent than the teachers tried to make me. Because, it's a pandemic now where they put gifted children on brain medicine in schools. So I would daydream a lot, and they would try to chastise me for like, why are you daydreaming? Come to find out, I was learning this stuff too fast and I wasn't being rewarded that way. So people would tell me I would pick up on things quick. Like, you can explain something to me 1 or 2 times and I got it already. So Prodigy also means that. So a combination of me looking up the definition and it just sounds like a cool video game character. And it's just something I just slowly grew into type of thing, I guess.
Have you had anyone tell you, no, I changed that, I don't see it working in the training schools?
Not in the training schools, because I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't told really nobody that's my name. Because I don't want nobody to really take it. You know what I mean? I'm saying on here now, but that was prior to it's LLC now, so I don't have to worry about it. But Not really. I really haven't had anybody tell me. My childhood friends will be like, why you pick that name? Or they'll be jealous, like, you're not the Prodigy, blah, 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 stuff like that. And I was like, the fact that I got you mad means I'm a good heel. So I will play with them like that and stuff. But no, nobody's really, I just go, I make up names like, oh, just call me TJ when I'm at the school or something. Because I don't want to give you a good idea. You take it, you know what I mean? So I haven't really told many people that's the name I go by. That's more of my social media personality, really.
You know, during quarantine, like, what was your training routine like? You know, I know the gyms and stuff like that was closed, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. A lot of body weight. I'm blessed to live 5 minutes from a large gym. They have all type of classes. Under most normal conditions, they got boxing, they have swimming, they have yoga. I've taken yoga classes, which helps made me more flexible and stuff like that, which I need because I'm kind of big for my height, so I kind of got to be a little more flexible. So a lot of walking and running around my neighborhood, and it's a track literally 7 minutes from my house. So that, a lot of push-ups, a lot of Hindu squats, old school, what they call caveman training, calisthenics. I think I'm saying it right, you know, something like that. But a lot of body exercise and stuff like that. Yeah.
I also want to ask you too. It might be a touchy topic. Sorry about our dog is over there.
No. I didn't even hear it, honestly.
Okay,
yeah.
good. But I want to go into the use of steroids in the wrestling business.
Sure.
Now, if you listen to like the old wrestlers, they'll say, "Oh, it's introduced to you in the locker room, right? Yep. You got the guys shooting up." How big is that in the wrestling industry today?
I honestly never experienced it myself. I would like to imagine that it's still around, though. The thing is now, back in the 80s, a lot of people just wasn't educated on a lot of healthier foods and a lot of healthier options. Like now we know it's trendy for people to shop at Whole Foods and eat what they call raw or organic foods. And I could say I was a vegetarian for a while, but honestly, I just miss fried chicken. So I just that only lasted. I know you feel me. That only lasted for 12 months. But the time I was a vegetarian, and the girl I was dating at the time was a vegan. So she taught me a lot of stuff about veganism, and it is, even though I eat meat now, it's certain stuff I never went back to. Like I don't consume dairy. I don't do pork. I'm very particular about my cuts of beef and cuts of turkey. I have to drink, if I eat like a heavy, either sugar or heavy starchy meal, I'm always drinking tea with it. Just certain, because I have a degree in science, health science. So that's just something I've learned along the time. Being a vegetarian really helped me out, but I learned also that you don't only have to eat like vegetables, or you can still put meat in there within moderation. I just choose not to eat dairy because it causes inflammation in your body, mucus, which affects your tissue, your joints. So I just choose not to eat that stuff. It's not, I could if I wanted to. It's not going to kill me, obviously, but I just choose not to do that. But to get back to the steroid thing, back in the 80s, like let's take somewhere like Orlando, Florida, for example. Scott Hall is one of my favorite wrestlers, and I've heard him tell many stories, and his struggles are well documented in the wrestling business. But he would talk about how they would sell steroids in the gyms over the counter back then. It was normal. Now you need a doctor prescription to take steroids. So I think this generation of wrestlers now a lot of healthier. You'll see guys like Daniel Bryan, he's a vegan. Allie from Impact, she's a vegan. It's a lot of wrestlers that are vegan. You'll be surprised. Or they eat very healthy diets, or they will have they have the disposable income, so they will have a meal prep like center make their food so they don't have to stress about that. So is it around now? I'm almost positive. I've never seen it before personally, none of the locker rooms I've been in. But it's not like I'm going in the shower with the guy like, oh, what are you sticking in your leg? I don't know that, you know what I mean? But I can say it's significantly, like guys now, everybody's health conscious now. They keep water with them. They're eating nuts. So I think it's two different worlds, honestly. But I'm almost sure it's still around in some type of capacity, though.
You know, I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit here.
No, it's good. I like jumping around. As long as my brain's active, I'm good.
So, you know, when you mentioned how, now for one, before you begin to that, you said when you didn't want to, you couldn't do it due to, I guess you said your mentality at the time when you were 18 years old.
Yep.
So, and now you're 29, you say, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, is it hard for you to transition? What did you feel a bit, you know, like, okay, well, there are a lot of more younger guys in the training while you were training in the gym to be a wrestler? Was that, like, what is that like?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't feel much pressure because, first of all, I look a lot younger. If I would have told you, if I didn't tell you I was 29, would you thought I was 29? I'm really hairy now. I
say about
especially
22,
when I'm shaved. 20.
Yeah.
That's what most people say. Yeah. So no, because I've always felt younger and I look younger. Sometimes I wish I looked more manly or my voice is a little deeper. But I'm like, man, I'm me. God made me the way I am. I'm me. So no, it's not. I wish I was in the mindset where I would have started when I was 22 because I think I would have had a much longer run. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't plan on wrestling past 5 years. I'm gonna save all my money and I want to start a private school in the South. Eventually, I'm moving to the South. So that's what my money gonna be used really for. I don't see myself wrestling long because, as we stated earlier, the wrestling business just don't love you back. I'm not gonna give myself to a wrestling business that I know that just doesn't love you back, honestly. But no, the pressure's never really been there because God blessed me to look younger than what I am. So, yeah.
So have you ever felt like discouraged? Like when you first went in there and you seen, I know you said you feel like you look younger or whatever. And, you know, just going in there and then everybody else is like 18, 19 and you 30. So, so you never felt discouraged at all. Like,
no, not really. I mean,
always been confident.
It's times I wish I would get moves faster. I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but I like to get stuff right the first time. It has been times while I was doing a move or it just looked awkward or they were just going too fast and they didn't want to slow down because like I know it. Because everybody that knows something is not a good teacher. So it's been times where I would get frustrated when I'm not getting a move as fast as I want to. But other than that, the way I am, I'm always going to knock walls down. I'm always going to work hard. That adversity's always been a part of my life. So it's nothing I'm not used to. You know what I mean? And my mentality now, I'm a lot more patient. When I was younger, the main reason I say I wouldn't have been in this business, my tolerance for racism and stuff is a lot higher than what it was when I was younger. It was just certain stuff you weren't going to say to me unless you wanted to be on the floor. You know what I mean? I'm just going to be honest with you. It's just certain stuff I wasn't going to tolerate people saying to me. So I was very hot-headed when I was younger. Now I've calmed that down quite a bit. So it's easier for me to focus. Like when I was younger, if you weren't teaching me something the way I thought you should be teaching me, I would have put my hands on you. So now, even when I'm not getting something or I'm getting frustrated, I always practice. And yoga and meditation has helped me a lot with this. I'm just calm. I understand everybody learns different. Everybody processes different. What he perceives as me not teaching him something is, okay, maybe he learns faster. So it's a conversation at that point. Like, bro, I'm not like everybody else. I don't care what you perceive me as. You could think I'm slow. I don't get this shit. So slow down. It's just as simple as that. So I just learned to just tell people what I need. And if I need you to teach me 100 times, I don't care if you only want to do it 50. I'm paying you to do something, so you're going to do it 100 times. So, yeah, I would just say that just at times when things are not going as fast as I want them to, I would get discouraged. But it doesn't happen too often these days. So.
Yeah, I saw a video on your YouTube where the caption was had to go back to amateur to professional.
Yeah.
I think you know what I'm talking about. But I was like, dang, okay, like you're really good. I mean, the way you countered, and I know you probably just was a routine. I don't know if it was routine or not, but I was like, okay, like
you want to hear something funny about that? You want to hear something funny about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That was my first amateur match in like 9 years. I thought I was going to be gassed. And that was after 3 hours of practice when I wrestled him. And I did 100 squats to begin class. They want you to do 100 squats. Then you want to run the ropes. So I'm already gassed by that point. You know what's funny? I got set up into doing that match. That was one of the times where I was starting to get fed up with the class. And he was like, oh, wrestle this guy. That guy I wrestled was trying to try me in class for a long time because not only is he one of the top students in class, he's the promoter's assistant. He's got a cockiness to him. So he would try to try me in class all the time, that guy. So that day I showed him. And then after that, I think they got mad. What they would do is they would try to make me more gas and then they'd be like wrestle him in the class. And one day I just told him, I said, I'm not doing that. I just left class. I put my stuff on. Because I was like, I see what y'all are trying to do. Y'all mad that I beat him the first time. Now you trying to run me to the ground so he could beat me easier. So I picked up, that was my last day in class. But they wanted me to wrestle that guy you saw in that video again and I wasn't going to do it. He's already like 70 pounds bigger than me, 6 or 7 inches taller than me. So that wasn't easy after everything I just said I had to do. Squats and all that. I'm about to die. You know what I mean? So, yeah. It was just petty. I wasn't gonna tolerate it, you know? Yeah.
That happens a lot. I remember was it Shawn Michaels? I think he was going against Vader, if I'm not mistaken. I think Vader missed a spot, or I don't know what happened. Shawn was coming up the turnbuckle.
I know.
Vader doesn't come
what
up.
match you're talking about.
So Shawn goes like, then he kicks him in the face. Like, what the fuck? You know, hey man, I mean, that's not petty because that could have really hurt Vader.
Yeah.
You know.
He lucky Vader wasn't pissed because he would have killed Shawn Michaels. You know how big Vader is?
Yeah, and Shawn can't fight, right? That's the rumor. Shawn can't fight.
Yeah, I believe it. I probably can whoop Shawn Michaels now, but that's a whole nother story. I've lost a lot of respect for Shawn Michaels over the years. Let's just say that.
I mean, that's so interesting because it kind of backs up all the stories wrestlers tell about all their experiences. And, you know, you've said it best. It's petty. It's petty. A lot of the beef is petty. Nothing is too personal. It is just what it is. And it's petty.
Yeah, it's petty. Absolutely petty.
But, you know, I want to go back to when you said a lot of the programs want their students to go through the indies. You know, hurt themselves up and then go to, like you said, A&W or WWE. But tell us why you don't like that route.
I don't like that route because I'm trying to think of I don't know if you ever worked in a corporate job before, and you know you better than the person that got the job, but they have it because of favoritism or something like that. To me, the indies comes off as for people that need to learn the business and that don't have the knowledge that I have. That's who the indies is really for. I honestly think, me personally, my character will be ready for the main roster. And one thing you have to have in this business is confidence. A lot of guys mask their confidence as projecting their problems on you. So they'll be like, oh, you arrogant and all that. No, you don't see all the work I do behind the scenes to get where I'm at now. I'm here now. Like I said, 10 years ago, I probably would have took the indie route. But my age is a large part why I don't have time to play the petty games. And you know what I mean? I have a goal that I'm trying to get to. So the indies is for people that's into that, I want to have a good match. I'm a performer. I can wrestle just as good as anybody. You saw in the video that I know how to wrestle. That's not the issue. I like more the performance side of the wrestling. Most of my favorite wrestlers were terrible wrestlers by most people's standards. Terrible wrestlers. The Rock, Macho Man Randy Savage, Piper, Scott Hall. They weren't great wrestlers. They were good performers and entertainers. The wrestling side of the business, I've learned from doing research over years, are always the lowest rated segments on wrestling. If you just look at the metrics and they're the lowest rated. So I'm not going to waste my time. I'm about getting this bag like everybody else is. You know what I mean? Right. If you got a faster route, you got a faster route to get there. Use your resources. Because everybody that wants you to fail are going to try to sidetrack you. Oh, do it this way, or this how we did it back in my day. And I look at it, I be trying not to be disrespectful to a lot of people that say that. I told one of the trainers in that class that he's a top trainer. And I was like, how long you been wrestling? He was like, for 8 years. I was like, you ain't never been to NXT? And he was like, no. I said, you wasting your time, but you're not going to waste mine. Because this is a game to you. It's not no game. I told him that too, but we got to an argument. I walked off on him, though. You know what I mean? Because he got mad that day I walked out of the ring because they tried to play me. He was like, who were you originally trained by? And I was like, Dr. Tom Pritchard. And he was like, he took your money. I said, you don't even know how much he charged me. He's like, how much you charge? I said, half of what y'all charge, and y'all ain't playing. So he was trying to play with, he tried to use reverse psychology like I'm stupid. So I was like, bro, I don't listen to people like you. You ain't even ever been, you ain't been there and done that. What I'm listening to you for? That's like listening to a person that works a 9-to-5 job on how to become a millionaire. You can't tell me because you ain't never been there before. So it's a lot of that you got. So in short, it's a waste of your time if you know if you understand your worth and know how good you are. Like I've been talking to him for a couple seconds. He was like, I could tell already that you've been watching wrestling for a long time. A lot of these guys, they start watching wrestling in 2015 and think they're going to tell me what a good match is. You can think that, but I'm going to let you know what I mean? Like, bro, y'all been watching wrestling for 5 years. I've been doing this for 22 years in every form. Being in the ring, being an amateur wrestler, watching old school. I can tell you about wrestling from the 1930s. I know who Gorgeous George is. I know who all the wrestlers from the 60s and 70s are. One of my trainers, Les Thatcher, is 80 years old. He know how to draw money because he did it in his territory. A lot of these guys, now they want to flip-flop and fly. Next thing I know, you broke your neck. I'm not listening to you. So, yeah.
I want to piggyback off that because, Raven Mysterio's son is now getting right now.
I love Dominic.
I don't say he's main inventing, but he's definitely come a long way in a short amount of time. And I was very shocked to see, like, oh, he just started training, like, it wasn't even that long ago. It was like 2 years ago, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, he started training under the WWE rules and within 2 years. He's been training since he's been a little kid. Like, his route was similar to Eddie Guerrero's. Eddie Guerrero started taking bumps when he was 4 years old because all his brothers plus his dad, Gory Guerrero, was a legend in Mexico. The move, it's the move where you pick him up. The move Chavo used to do when he pick him up and put you on the back and face drop you. He created that move. Gory Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero's dad created that move. So they've been wrestling since they were kids. So Dominic Ray will teach him certain stuff as he went along. You remember that he was involved with the Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero custody of the child thing. He was a little boy on there. So he knew little stuff, but he didn't really start learning the WWE system until recently, basically. But he's known for a while. Dominic, I've seen old school footage. He's been training for a while. It's just WWE put him out there so quick. Everybody was like, oh, he don't deserve that job. You know what I mean? So it's always going to be that type of mindset because people don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes.
I was very surprised. I'm like, dang, that's a what he's like my age, I believe, 22, 23 almost.
Yeah, he's around there. Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, cool. But I didn't know that. So again, like you said, yeah, it is a judgmental thing. I didn't think he didn't. I didn't think he sucked. I just was like, wait, is that daddy's help that got him, or is it? But okay, you clarified that.
Yeah.
You know, where do you see yourself going? So if you don't want to go the indie route, how do you, like, what's your game plan? You know, because if you're trying to go the WWE route, AEW route, maybe even possibly, I know around here we have a, it's kind of indie, but it's called Ring of Honor. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yeah, I know ROH is. Okay.
Yeah. Ring of Honor.
Yep.
And I think they do really well. I think.
Yeah. ROH is fine. I have issues with some of their philosophies, they booking philosophies and stuff like that, but it's not a place I'm opposed to working against. I actually got beef with a guy over there named Shane Thorne. So when things get back to normal, one of my first matches, he's a big boy too. He's a big boy, real big boy. When things get back to normal, I might be flying out to Baltimore. I told them, I'll get y'all ratings up. I'll fly myself out there, just pay me. I've already told him that because he got upset. Him and it's a wrestler named Cheeseburger, small kid over there named Cheeseburger. Yeah, his name is Cheeseburger. Well, he's only famous because he wrestled Bubba Ray Dudley. That's what most people know him for. And I because I'm the type of person, I don't rock the boat, but I will say something if I feel it needs to be said. So one day I was saying, I just saw them bragging about, oh, you don't know stuff. How long you been working? I said, granted, I've been working less than 2 years, but I still understand the psychology of this business a lot better than you. And I was like, because if you did, you will be hurting your body as long as you have and not tried to go to WWE by now. So I said, if you want to be a mark, that's fine. But don't try to sit here and say we the best ever and you don't have the numbers to back that up. One thing people hate that I notice, when you put numbers out there and it contradicts what they think, that's when they get mad at you. I'm hard to argue with because I'm just going to put the numbers out there. But at the same time, if I'm wrong about something, I'll admit that I'm wrong. But I'm not going to just sit there and bow to a lot of these fans now. A lot of these fans, like I said, only been watching wrestling for 5 years. They try to school me. Bro, you 17. When you was swimming, I knew what I was doing. You know what I mean? When you was still swimming inside your parents, I knew what was up. You know what I mean? So if they try to school me like I'm not doing it, and then when they see what I'm talking about, that's when they block me. Okay, you just admitted that I won when you blocked me. Simple as that. Not that I wasn't going for that, but if you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation. But don't try to get on here and try to call me stupid. And then when I put numbers out there, you want to get mad and try to get my Twitter shut down. They did that 2 times. Why they got my Twitter suspended over stuff that they started with me.
And again, I mean, that's just how like I said, these fans, man.
Man, it's a different level of fans, dude.
Yeah, some of these wrestlers too, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they can be.
It's a lot of soy boy wrestlers too.
That's crazy. But you know that in the history of wrestling, man, I'm pretty sure you know this already, but there's a guy by the name of, you know what I'm saying, Ron Simmons.
Yeah.
So he's the only African American, you know what I'm saying, world champion to win. You know what I'm saying, in the history of wrestling.
Yeah. No, he's not. He's the only WCW world champion.
WCW. Oh, okay.
The first black main WWE champion just got crowned coincidentally last year. Kofi Kingston was the first black main WWE champion. It's been a couple world. You had Mark Henry, you had Booker T, but of course they all had insignificant title runs. I would say Ron Simmons was probably even his reign wasn't that significant. The most significant world champion that was black was Booker T. Everybody else, I felt the company put the belt on them just to say they wasn't racist, basically. But Kofi was the first full black WWE champion. The Rock was half black. You know, they'd be like, hey, y'all niggas need to shut up. We gave y'all a half black. You know what I mean? So one of those type things. But Kofi was the first black, and that didn't happen until last year.
Kofi, I was very surprised.
I didn't think he deserved it.
I don't want you to call me a mark, but when I was watching wrestling, I really thought he was Jamaican. I'm not gonna lie to you. And then when I heard he was in the ring, it was him, Vince,
and Triple H.
And Triple H said, "I thought you were Jamaican," or something like that. And every time I see Kofi, I just think about that. But off topic again.
I wouldn't call you a mark. Y'all family now. Y'all not marks. Okay. Only call the people that stupid marks. Y'all not marks.
But Kofi also had I don't want to say petty situation in the WWE when it was I don't know if it was a missed spot or what, but back when Randy did the putt to the head, right?
Yeah.
And Kofi, if I'm getting it right, he didn't move in time.
Right. Yeah.
And Randy said, stupid, right?
Yep.
And that kind of, in a way, hurt Kofi's push at that time. Now he was, crowned champion.
Yeah.
But again, how
which was
common
suspicious.
Is that, you think so?
It was very suspicious because he was a last minute replacement. Mustafa Ali, who's a Arab wrestler, got hurt on a Raw. He had messed his face up. He got hurt doing a spot, and they just needed another minority to put in that spot. And Kofi just so happened to be the guy that was there at the time. Because if you watch the SmackDown that was building up to that, Kofi was in the middle. Him and New Day were the tag team champions, and they were going to do something tag team related at WrestleMania. And then Mustafa got hurt, and then Kofi took that spot. You know what I mean? And then Vince just capitalized off of it. # Kofi Mania. Now the company manufactured that. It wasn't grassroots. That's why I wasn't a big fan. It wasn't grassroots. The person right now that should be WWE champion is Bobby Lashley. You just look at that guy, and you look like he should be. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. What was your question though?
Oh no, I was just gonna say Bobby. I remember. Did he start back in the WWE's? I noticed him ECW run. The ECW when he first came into the WWE, like their brand ECW. Yeah. He used to come out to the ring and jump on the apron. Yeah, and the fireworks and all that and go off. I think you're going to ask me something about pettiness or something. Why do I think it happens? I think that's what you said before I said. I was going to ask you because, you kind of clarified it, but I was just going to say, how common is it for a wrestler to kind of get sidelined like that due to backstage, or not even back?
Oh, it happens a lot.
Policy, but
it happens a lot.
Is it common for them to get their push
stop your
back?
Push? Oh, yeah. Just 3 quick examples I can give you. Baron Corbin won the Money in the Bank in 2017. That shows you he got called up late 2016. He won the briefcase by mid 2017. And the briefcase guarantees you getting a title shot. You can cash in whenever you want, all that stuff. That showed you how high they was on Baron Corbin, which I like Baron Corbin. It's not enough big guys and wrestlers. He's a great big guy because he thinks like me. He cursed fans out all the time. He asks them stupid questions, and he calls them marks like me. I love Baron Corbin. I'm a big fan of his. Corbin push got derailed. He was supposed to be Cena at SummerSlam and everything, and he was gonna get a title shot after that. It was a doctor backstage. I believe the issue was about CTE and concussions, and the doctor he said something wrong, and Corbin was like, actually, I've been doing my research on this. This is exactly what it's called. And Vince just so happened to be standing right there, and Vince didn't like that because he was embarrassed by Corbin having the gall to speak up to his doctor like that, and they pushed Corbin because of that. It happened. Same thing with Strowman. Strowman's very outspoken backstage when he don't like something. He understands his worth, and Strowman's a top guy there, and they slow him down. That's why it's so many stop-starts with Corbin, all the silly stuff they have him doing. But yeah, it definitely happens. And by you, I'll give you a female example. By you being a woman, you can relate to this. John Cena, who everybody thinks a cookie cutter type guy, has a perfect squeaky clean image and all that. It's been a lot of rumors that he got a lot of women fired, most notably Mickie James, who he was having an affair with on his wife at the time. Mickie spoke out on it because Cena didn't want to be with her, because Mickie wanted to be with John as a relationship. John Cena just wanted her to be a fling, and then he got her traded to SmackDown because they were on Raw at first. He got her traded to SmackDown. And then next thing you know, Mickie James was gone after that. After they did the Piggy James storyline with her, they did that to embarrass her for having the gall to speak out against John Cena. So it's petty shit like that happens all the time.
I remember that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the affair, but I remember, I was like, what the fuck, Mickie James? I think she's great. So I was very
She's
shocked.
awesome.
And after that, I think she was
Yeah, she did. That's what her best run happened at, honestly. What's that?
I was going to say, was it TNA that she had went to after?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all the pettiness and stuff like that don't make you like second guess wrestling, like
no.
You know, okay.
I love this business too much. I love the business way too much. Now, don't get me wrong, my guard is up. My guard is up a lot when it happens. And certain stuff I do bite my tongue on, but that stuff with them trying to blow me up and hurt me in the ring, I was gonna hurt a couple people over there. Because if you would have did one thing and I would have got hurt, this, like I said, wrestling. Now I have insurance as a responsible adult. I have insurance, but the wrestling business don't provide me with insurance. So I'm not gonna put myself in a precarious situation for somebody else's entertainment. But a lot of stuff I've seen already that I bite my tongue on. It's a lot of racism. I see it now, and I ain't even been in a company yet to wrestle. I'm just training now, and it's racist stuff that I see. They try to work me harder than the other whites and stuff like that. I picked up. I just don't say nothing. I deal with it, you know.
What if, let's say, you get to the WWE or you get to AEW, and one of your former trainee, you know, your co-trainee guy that you used to train with, that you talk shit to, right?
Yeah.
Y'all got a little to a spat.
Yep.
How would you imagine that? You know, do you think they would remember that situation? And how would you handle that if it becomes to backstage politics?
Well, I would try to talk to him first and make sure it's not a problem. Like, I tell him, like, bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you want to hit me, do it right here while I can defend myself. Don't wait for us to get in the ring and try to shoot. Because some people try to wait for you to get in the ring and then try to hurt you. It happens all the time. And if you got an eye for it, like, I could watch a wrestling match now and tell if somebody's trying to hurt somebody. Like, it's a lot of really, really petty. Like, they big guys in the business now that try to hurt people. I've heard several stories about Jericho, Cena, you name it. It's the Undertaker. And I respect them all for their different, but they've done some petty stuff. And a lot of them, this is not even just me with conspiracy theory. This is publicly known stuff. But if I was to run, honestly, I would try to avoid working with somebody like that. Let's say I can't, for whatever reason I can't. I would try to handle it professionally. Like, bro, whatever you need to do, let's do it right here. If you want to get something off your bed, we got plenty of room to fight. Whatever you want to do. When we get in the ring and I feel like you trying to do that, the script going out the window to what we talked about in the back, it's going to be a fight. And hopefully we can pay some tickets off of it next time, because I'm going to beat the hell out of them up in that ring if I can, if you're trying to hurt me. So I try to be an adult about it first, but I'm the type of person where I deal with the consequences later when I've already told you about it and you try me anyway. I just deal with the consequences later at that point.
So do you see yourself working in WWE?
Of course, I want to go there, but at the same time, I have my reservations. I already think that my kind of outspokenness will bump heads with Triple H and Vince already. I can see it. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to try to be professional at first, but I'm not for all the kiddie games. Like I said, I'm already almost 30 years old. I don't have much time to be playing around. So I'm going to pitch a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas now for merchandise that I would like, Vince, I already know how you are. I will give you 15% off the bat, 15, 20%. But once I leave here, you're not owning my character permanently. That's why New Jack never worked there. Remember the ECW wrestler New Jack? He never worked for because Vince wanted to own his character. That's why he never worked for him. And he's just like me. New Jack is a very unapologetic black man that does not take shit from nobody. I love New Jack.
He told a story, actually, one of his interviews where he said he was at the training center for the WWE and they told him, don't speak to Vince or don't introduce yourself to Vince. And he said, fuck that. And he went ahead and did it.
And Vince, it's a whiteboard in the back on TV with all the matches for the day that's going to happen. New Jack, prior to being told by Dean Malenko, whatever you do, don't speak to Vince, let him speak to you first. Before that interaction, New Jack, when he first came in, he looked at the board and saw who his dark match was going to be against, your practice match, basically. That's untelevised. He saw who it was going to be against. I think it was against Val Venis or somebody like that. And he saw it. He was like, okay. After that thing with Vince, he went up, New Jack, how you doing? I hope I give you what you like and we can go forward with business. He said a few minutes later after Vince, he went back, they swiped his name off the board. So just it's pettiness. Goes back to pettiness, man.
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned, again, it's a lot of stories that just resonate to what you're saying. And a recent issue was Matt Hardy. And I'm not just mentioning him because I'm from North Carolina, but I really feel like there's some issues between Matt and his brother Jeff. And for instance, you have Matt speaking on Jeff's contract.
Yep.
You never see Jeff speak on things like that in the public, but you have Matt who does. And then people were kind of upset about Jeff's storyline currently with, they're going on about his
alcoholism.
Yeah. And Matt and his wife, again, publicly speaking out against it. And there, again, you don't hear Jeff speaking on it. But Matt proclaims that AEW is a great company. They're able to listen to him. They give, any ideas he has, he pitches them and they go for it. And I think with what you're saying about how you're very outspoken, and I think AEW would be a great spot for you.
It's funny you said it because I'm leaning more towards going to AEW at this point. Because one of my favorite guys I really want to work with, and I've already talked to him about this online, his name is Ricky Starks. That's one of my pals. I'm looking forward to an interview I have when schedule loosens up. I'm gonna interview him. You know who Thunder Rosa is? Me and her are like this. She follows me on Twitter. I've interviewed her multiple times. I love Thunder Rosa. I have allies in this business, that people that want to help me and stuff like that. Ricky Starks is there, and I know me and him can make a lot of money because he's a cruiserweight that gets the wrestling business. He's not going to go in there and just do moves just for the sake of doing it. He wants you to pay to see him. He reminds me of a mini Rock. If you look at him, the shirts that he wear, his hair, he looks like a baby Rock, and I love he's just a cocky bastard like me, so I like him. And I know I can draw a lot of money with Ricky Stark. So for a while, I didn't want to sign with them, and they stole a lot of ideas from my podcast. And me and my guest, the Hurt Business, we came up with that. Me and my guest host came up with the Hurt Business. And back in like May, and then they did it in like June or something like that. We didn't come up with the name, of course, but the concept. Oh, they need to put all these black wrestlers together, put Shelton Benjamin with X1. Next thing you know, like 2 weeks later, they were doing it on the show. So they borrow stuff from my show all the time. As long as they do it, I don't care. It's just whatever. You don't owe me anything. I don't have no contract with you, but I would love to go to AEW because they're starting to make a lot of the decisions and not letting the fans run the show as much because they care too much about the fans. And a lot of their wrestlers, honestly, look like fans with costumes on. They look like little boys when you see them. None of them have that larger-than-life bravado. Everybody's scared to speak out. Everybody's scared to no, bro. Like Kenny Omega, for example. He doesn't understand that he's the most important star there, not named Chris Jericho. Like he was like John Cena when he was in Japan. Those 3 or 4 years he was in Japan, he was like the top guy there. Merchandise, every metric you can measure it by, Omega was there. He let AEW abuse him when he got there and not make him feel important. And one thing he don't understand, that of course I don't have all the knowledge and all that, he knows he's been in the business a lot longer than me. But one thing any person with sense that knows about business knows that you don't allow people to ruin your brand, and he let them ruin his brand when he got there.
You're smart to do what you did, to go ahead and get your LLC and to go ahead get everything copyrighted, because there's so many I think wrestlers' brands are ruined by reputation, by the fans' perception of them outside of the ring, by other wrestlers in the industry and how they speak about them in interviews. And the word of the day, pettiness, right? Can also ruin a wrestler's brand. And it's sad to see it, but that's just kind of the world we live in when it comes to this industry. And
I'm just gonna take my tripod with me. I'm still listening. I'm turning my light on here before it gets dark out.
Yeah, we getting dark over here too.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think the next question I wanted to ask you is, to be your age and the things you've been able to accomplish so far in such a short amount of time, which is very admirable. And just one of the reasons why, I'm kind of glad we're able to interview you, because we don't really see too many interviews of just about the real life aspect of wrestling, right? And there's some questions certain wrestlers don't want to answer for maybe, business
legal
reasons. Right. And it's great to get a good insight on it, because I think it's great for fans and new coming fans as well, who just want to know about the business and how it works. And when you mentioned the pettiness, you mentioned that's people trying to enter here. Let me see. Brian, Nick, you know, Brian, I'm just putting him in.
If he's from Texas, I probably know who he is. That's one of my codes, Brian. If he'll just say Thailander or Brian TX, unless he got a different Zoom name I don't know about.
Hey, Brian, what's up?
I do know Abram.
Howdy.
Yeah, that's Brian. I know that kid. What's up, Brian?
What's going on, guys? Did you say Houston Texans?
Yeah, yes. You late to the party, man. What's up with that hat?
It's the Astros, son. We're going to the World Series.
Oh man, team, right?
To tell you. Yeah, I'm Chicago Blackhawks over here. Yeah.
Yeah, they disappointed me. They didn't win the Stanley Cup.
What can you do? You late to the interview, man. How you gonna be late to my interview as one of my guest hosts?
I just came from the grocery store. I had like last second stuff to smoke on the grill. I had to go to the store. My fault.
Make sure you send me some of that food and drinks or whatever. But all right, I don't want to take up too much of their time. Let me finish with them.
Go ahead.
It ends at 7:30, so we cut off at 7:30. But yeah. So dang, what was I talking about? What was the question? I think
you were talking about how you glad we get to tell real life stories and all that. I know we're along those lines somewhere. I don't remember what the question was.
Right. Yeah. So the real life story aspect of wrestling, and I wanted to just get into. Oh man, lost my train of thought. But for you to be, I guess you're kind of semi-pro, semi-amateur, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
As far as looking for promotions, right, to start your career, to get paid, what does an amateur wrestler look for when they kind of hit that scene when it comes to contracts?
Well, I would say that it's based on individuals. Like I'm gonna go back to them two categories. Either you a smart wrestler or you a mark. Simple as that. You either one or the other. If you a mark, you gonna go the route where, okay, they might give me $25,000 and I'm gonna go break my back at all these little small mom and pop spots on the side. But if you're a person that's trying to get the bag like me, you gonna look for like an NXT or AEW or Booker T school, like a reality of wrestling. I think they might give you contracts because they got like a professional setup, and his wife helps him run it when he's doing stuff with WWE. But yeah, me personally, I'm looking for that AEW contract, because when you get to WWE anyway, they gonna strip you down because they think they know best. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. They go because they're going to teach you how to work the cameras. Every wrestler know you get up to the left because the hard camera is always right there. So you work to the left side. So if you learn to work the right, so if you start off in Mexico, you learn to work the right. They do opposite. So they gonna train you to work the WWE style when you get there anyway. So I would advise you just go to NXT to save yourself the headache. Why spend or waste 3-4 years out of your life on the indies when they gonna take all that away and re-educate you anyway? So I would say go to NXT first.
I think that's just the best overall training aspect of experience to get to because I think we hear so much about WWE, right? That's like the monopoly of wrestling, if we look at it like that. And that's why I'm kind of glad AEW came around, because it kind of gives them some form of competition. Because you don't really see too many programs like that that's that big. And you got good heads behind them with Cody Rhodes and all them. And I think I love to see that. Yeah. And it gives wrestlers like you, who kind of don't want to deal with the pettiness, the backstage politics, a whole new atmosphere and a whole new just environment to work in as an up and coming wrestler who's looking for a start. And something you didn't mention too, like you say, a lot of the wrestlers do look like fans, but a lot of them are main eventing. You don't see like mad. I mean, of course, you see Jericho, but look at all the young talent that's getting that push. They're getting pushed. In the WWE, you don't even see young talent getting pushed like that. And if they do get a push, it's a corny push, right? I mean, it's like, oh, okay, how are the fans in tune to this? AEW has great storylines. And off the rip, you've already said you want to be a villain, and I can definitely see the Prodigy's villain on AEW. And hey, man, I hope if you're able to go to the Booker T training school, I hope you can get in and get that connects and see what you can do. for the AEW contract? Because I can. Hey, go ahead.
I'll be in Texas in December. I'll be down there in December. I'm going to Texas, so I'm not going to Booker T school to train. I'm training with another. I'm training with the guy that trained Daniel Bryan. His name's Rudy Gonzalez. So I'm going to his. I'm training with him first, and then if I have enough time, I'm gonna go over and check out Booker T school, go to Jazz's school and check it out. But as far as training at their camps, that'll be later in 2021 because my schedule is already booked to work out with Rudy, who's one of the greatest. He trained Daniel Bryan, Sean Hernandez from LAX, Brian Kendrick, and a lot of other wrestlers. I'm going to train with him in December. I'll be down there. Yep.
Yeah, on November 20th, I think, Sean Hernandez will be pushing one of the local promotions or like the wrestling schools over here. So it's like, I'll probably like, if I could go, I'm gonna like try to see if I could talk with him and try to get some ins and outs. Like,
sure, I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, keep me posted on that, Brian.
Yeah.
Keep me posted.
Yeah, H-Town's finest.
I want some of that barbecue.
Yeah, sure, man. Well, let's get into your podcast a little bit, man. So, just listen to your podcast. You like to talk about a lot of Mid-South wrestling, and
Yep, I love it.
Like, what makes that different from other wrestling? You know what I mean?
Back from the old. Because I know your latest podcast, you mentioned how was it promoting with Mid-South Wrestling? If I'm not mistaken, you mentioned the promoting or how they booked.
Yep, probably both.
Yeah, how it was a great foundation for the up and coming other programs to come.
Yep.
And is that what you grew up on? Was it Mid-South Wrestling?
Oh, no, that was way before my time. South Wrestling was like late 70s to the 80s. Like I say, I try to learn everything I can about wrestling. So people can't try to school me. It ain't because of that. It's because I really want to learn my craft. You know what I mean? So that's why when people try to school me, like back in my day, like me and Cornette has had arguments. Like, Cornette, I get that you stuck in your ways. You like old 80s wrestling. I'm not saying I don't appreciate that. I'm saying I understand why people move on and the wrestling business evolve. I can appreciate all of them. It's like eating ice cream. You don't want vanilla ice cream every single day. You might want Rocky Road. You might want something wacky. You might want peanut butter with nuts and strawberry syrup. It's every product, and that's what I would consider AEW, that last ice cream blend. It's something that's for everybody. Cornette is just one of those type of people where you cannot convince him. I'm not that closed-minded to not get it. At the same time, I find myself arguing with the marks about why they think AEW is the greatest thing ever and why all this other wrestling is boring. And I try to explain to them, you can't watch Mid-South through today's eyes. Of course, you're going to think it's slow and boring because this product is from the 80s. You know what I mean? It's 2020 now. That was, 40 years ago or something like that. So I've learned to keep my mind open and just try to learn a lot of different things. But the reason I think Mid-South is the gold standard of wrestling is because they had everything I like wrestling to be. Short matches, easily definable characters, heel versus babyface. Announcers that stuck to talking about wrestlers and building the characters and not all this side stuff that WWE had their announcers talking about, not focusing on the matches. And most importantly, feuds. They actually had feuds. Now, these guys are amazing athletes, but you can't figure out why they fighting. If you just come home from work, you don't want to think for them. It's your show. You should be telling me while I'm watching it. I shouldn't be sitting there like, what the hell is he doing? Like, why did he, you know what I mean? I just want to get off and chill and watch TV. I shouldn't have to do your job for you. And I think a lot of modern wrestling, NXT, AEW, Impact, they have these issues where they want to give the wrestlers too much liberty and you need to govern them a little bit. I'm not saying have a stranglehold on them, but give them like some parameters. Like if I'm diving out the rope in match 2, I don't want to see it in match 3 because it defeats the purpose of match 2. You see what I'm saying? So the structuring of matches were a lot better in Mid-South Wrestling. They had everything I just thought a wrestling show should be. And especially for a 1980s product, their editing skills, they were the first show to use 5 cameras so you can get an angle and the cameraman doesn't have to keep running from, you could switch to that camera. So, and Jim Ross was amazing. I think that was Jim Ross's zenith. So and overall, every way I measure wrestling was great. And
also too, like back then in Mid-South Wrestling, the interviews were raw, the promos was raw. They weren't governed or anything like that. And that's like the beauty of it. That's why it was so successful back in the day.
Right. I agree.
Yeah. It's all good.
But you know what? I'm watching some All-Star Wrestling right now. And I'll be honest with you, it is very slow. And
I haven't watched All-Star yet.
You haven't?
I haven't seen it yet, nope.
You have to, because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's interesting to see. But you know what? If you compare how they booked matches back in '76 to when Raw first started in 1993, it's kind of the same. Well, that's not the same because I think
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, 93 exactly it was squash matches, very squashy. The last match would be like a semi-good match, more so a mid-card match in today's standards. But at All-Star Wrestling in '76, everything was almost a squash match up until I want to say the fourth and fifth match. Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting to see how they kind of use the same setup over the years, even currently up until I guess once I think WCW
a lot of the bookers used to think the same. That they were like, there was a similar for when it was governed by the NWA, it was certain stuff that they weren't going to tolerate. Like, for example, you had to be, man, we talked about that word shooter. You had to be a shooter to be the NWA champion back in the day. Even Ric Flair was, when he was younger. To this day, people say some of the hardest times they've been hit was by Ric Flair. Them chops that you see, I can tell you, those are not fake chops. You just got to take those in wrestling practice. Like, I done seen guys with hematomas and broken blood vessels. Now, you can tell when somebody trying to hurt you. Like, you know, like, okay, bro, you was being excessive. But those strikes are real in wrestling. I can't say you get hit for real. Now, they not hitting you with their full force with anything other than a chop. A chop is the reason they have to hit you for real, because if you don't, it looks fake. Because you just slapping somebody. A slap is not as effective as a punch. You can tap somebody and still look like you knocked the hell out of them if you know how to draw back and you know, a lot of wrestlers now just throw bad punches. Like, to me, for Jon Moxley to be a main eventer, he throws a horrible punch. His punch does not look believable. Like, I've seen little kids that throw better punches than Moxley. And that's not even me. Like, I didn't even start noticing it until Jim Ross said it. Before he started working for AEW, of course. He don't say it now, but Moxley just does, he don't throw a good punch for a world champion. You know, so just little, you had to be a legit guy. That's why you see guys with beer bellies like Harley Race. He just smoked a 20-pack of cigarette and he still just beat the hell out of somebody. You know what I mean? The guys, they look like adults back then. Now these dudes look like they work part-time at like Hot Topic or something at the mall. Like, bro, how are you a wrestler? I don't know if y'all heard the story of Adam Cole when he goes to the people that the TSA at the airport. He had the NWA champion. They was like, "What is that thing you got?" He was like, "This is my world champion. I'm NWA world champion." The guards started laughing at him. They didn't believe that he was a champion because he looks too small. Like, I'm a small guy, but I lift weights. I don't know if you can tell that, but I work out quite a bit. You know, so I think if you are a cruiserweight, you have to not only look bigger than other people, but you have to be able to talk better than everybody else. And that's why I think Ricky Starks is the greatest cruiserweight right now. He gets everything. He gets how to look like a star, talk, and walk like a star. He gets everything. One of my main programs, him and Rey Mysterio are the two people I definitely want to wrestle. If I could retire against Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania, I'm good.
Nasty.
Yeah, he's a great performer. And you know what? You're definitely right, though. I do think when you mentioned how AEW's, is that a flaw you would say of AEW, is how their stars look?
Yeah, it's definitely, but it's not just exclusive to AEW. I think they're just the worst at it. WWE does it too. Impact does it too. But I have better standards for AEW because their fans are putting so much stock behind, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And then when you point it out and say, oh, no, it's not because they do X, Y, and Z, then they get offended and they want to block you. You know what I mean? So that's why, to me, I think everybody, WWE does it, other promotions does it. I think AEW just do it the worst, and their fans are just the loudest with it, which is why it bugs me so much.
Okay, I'll definitely say that. Hey, Brian, I guess I can give you a semi-interview here. Why not? Why not?
Spot.
Hey, I mean, so I can see you're a pretty good wrestling fan. So how long have you been tuned into wrestling?
Since I was 6, my 2 older brothers and their best friends, I was their punching bag.
Wow. Come on, man. You can't let him
Hey,
do that.
Brian, you just had to one up me. I said I was 7. You just had to say you were 6. I think you made that shit up.
I am dead on. No, I was just a little kid all about Corduroy, Transformers, G.I. Joe. And my brothers they were big fans of wrestling. And we would, I remember as a kid, like, I'd be dragged to go with them to go down to the Sam Houston Coliseum. That's when I saw like the Von Erichs. That's when I saw the Punisher, the Undertaker, saw them. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I didn't think nothing of it. But then by the time we get home, then my brothers and the friends like, oh yeah, let me try this move. Let me try that move. And yeah, like as a kid, I cried a lot. I was like, man, I just want to be like a normal kid, but I don't want to be nobody's punching bag. And throughout the years, it was like if my brothers had a bad day, oh yeah, I get power bombed, body slammed, power slammed, whatever. And I hated them. And then as I got older, then it's like kind of like when I was watching Kerry Von Erich wrestle, that's what I was like, oh, I like this guy. I like his wrestling style play.
You all right? Was that the cookie dunk? What was that?
No. He was just like, my buddies let me know like 15 more minutes, like he's about to spritz the ribs. We're smoking ribs.
I thought you were smoking something else coming to my shit late, but that's we jab each other all the time.
Appreciate you joining in, man.
Brian's actually my AEW and NXT correspondent for my show. He watches, so I don't have to watch the bad episodes. Basically, he loves AEW and NXT. So TJ
is the biggest FTR hater on the planet,
bro.
Why is that, man?
Them dudes call themselves the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, but they look like little kids. I'm not gonna. They need to put on some long tights. I don't want to see grown men flapping around with drawers on. Man. I don't want to see that.
Man, that's like 100% at USDA choice right there, son.
If you don't trim the fat, yeah, that's exactly what it is. FTR is all right, man. They're all right.
They have a decent tag team division over there. I like it. It's great. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
I mean, I do like how that had like the tag team division is starting to grow. You're getting more and more guys in. It's like it's actually watching tag team wrestling be fun again because like the tag team division WWE, I was just going like, really?
We're not gonna talk about the tag team division to WWE.
Yeah,
that non-existent tag team. Come on.
Yeah, y'all sound like y'all hate WWE, man, for real.
No, I love
it's with
WWE.
Good reason.
He hates WWE. I love WWE. Brian despises WWE.
It's a love-hate relationship.
But it adds dichotomy to the show. You know,
you gotta explain that one, man.
The love-hate. I like it when they book it right, the story is right, everything else is right. But then if you do everything like 2 out of 3 good, and all of a sudden you have like a shitty ending, this is where I have a problem with. I'm like, really? And then what I have a problem with is, and we talked it numerous times on TJ's podcast, is like, I hate it when the tag team division is doing phenomenal NXT, but then when they get brought up to the main roster, all of a sudden like their superstar level has just been
diminished.
Dieted, and that's where I have a problem with it. And I'm happy that now like more guys from the main roster want to go back to NXT, because at least with the NXT they can have fun again, they can have their exposure, and plus like I think as fan base wise you have more of a loyal fan base in NXT versus the main roster.
I agree with you on that. Like the WWE has prostituted their fans so long, like they don't even know what to do anymore. Their fans are just so confused by everything that's going on.
Yeah, and you heard me numerous of times. I'm just going like, why? You build them up, and then it's just like that pisses me off.
I agree. That's what happens when you have a 75-year-old man that's bored. That's what happens.
No, it's just that he just kind of looks at it because Vince McMahon is so hell bent on the John Cena's, the Bobby Lashley's, but which he's not pushing Bobby Lashley, which pisses me off even further. But guys that have really good talent that I really think that could really push, Vince is just kind of like, I don't know. We'll just throw something and see if it sticks, and if it doesn't, I had no faith in it anyway. You know, that's my problem with Vince. Because I mean, I see a lot of guys. I mean, a lot of guys can carry the company, but Vince. But it all ends with Vince, and it pisses me off the first. It's like if you would have gave Finn Balor more reign, like more opportunity, Balor could show you.
I think Balor needs to face paint though. I don't like Balor without face paint.
Well, I mean, he could do it on the pay-per-views, which keep it how he had it. Yeah, keep it at pay-per-views. Yeah, I have no problem with that. But have him like the lame duck storylines. I hate the writers. The writers really, really piss me off. Because how can someone be a legit badass to say suffering succotash? I
Well, I try to be a little more compassionate on the writers, Brian, because the writers only can do what the McMahons allow them to do. Exactly. I think it's more so that the McMahons are corny and not so much the writers. I'm sure there's a lot of writers that had good ideas back then.
I think like out of all the McMahons, I probably would give him that little bit of a reign was Shane. I mean, because when Shane came back and he was running SmackDown, Dolph Ziggler's promos were like, yes. Kevin Owens' promos, yes. Things were getting better, but then you look at the promos on Raw, how Vince was running Raw, and then they say like a lot of lame duck, corny eighth grade stuff. That's so I'm just kind of like, that's why I'm just doing this. All right.
You also got to
turn the channel. But you know what?
You got to keep in mind. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, because 723. Well, to just kind of piggyback off of that, their ratings is going to suffer, which they are suffering in a way.
Right.
And if they're not even tuning into that, do they just not care? I always envision them like they're so rich, they have so much money. It's almost like fuck the fans, or fuck what's really going to garner us, because why not?
That exactly is what the issue is. That's exactly what the issue is.
I can't think of any other reason why.
We could be happy now because AEW, the owners of that are billionaires like Vince McMahon. As a matter of fact, they got more money than Vince. So if they just continue to be smart and hire the right people, I think a lot of this is going to change. Vince McMahon only thrives under competition. He don't consider nobody competition right now until these shows start breaking 1 million, which is one of the main things I get into heated debates with fans over. They think less than 1 million views don't matter. I said, this is because y'all didn't write the Attitude Era. They used to get 8 and 9 million viewers. They beat Monday Night Football a few times under Vince Russo's writing. You can hate Vince Russo's writing all you want. He understands how a wrestling show should be formatted and booked. Did he make mistakes? Of course, everybody does. But overall, Vince Russo is the most successful writer that all wrestling can promote. He rose the ratings at WCW, Impact, and WWF. He's a great writer. And because he's not around now is a large reason why WWE is suffering. Because they think everybody wants to see overly long matches. Can't no woman have sex appeal even if it's her decision. If she wants to let them boobies come out, let her dress like that. I'm sure the red-blooded men that don't even care about what's going on in the wrestling ring, that's a casual viewer, care about that. Like, wrestling's a TV show. It's not only for wrestling fans. That's the problem with it now, that we only focus on wrestling fans. It's supposed to be everybody. What's that?
How many little kids tune in?
A lot.
A lot. Kids rule the world. They rule YouTube, right? YouTube has a policy now where, you have to literally disable your comments if you have a child in it.
Exactly. Yeah, so, I noticed that. Yeah, I have noticed that. Yeah.
They went PG. I think they did that.
Yeah, but you know what? Though I think this an easy solution to that. Not to cut you off, Brian. The first hour can be for kids. The mid hour can be the hardcore fans, and the last hour can be for the adults. I think with Raw being 3 hours, you can appease everybody. Because I'm not stupid enough to say walk away from money that kids provide. That's asinine to even think that. So, but I think if WWE can't overly focus on one demographic, they should be trying to please everybody. And yes, the kids are a priority.
And then also too, why it went PG was because at that time, Lynn McMahon was getting into politics. Mm-hmm. So they don't want to have Lynn McMahon be like, well, your husband has this promotion that does sex appeal and violence. That can't be good for a politician. So that's why they went. That was like one big main reason why they went PG.
Yeah.
I know they support Trump, or they had it.
Oh yeah, heavy. Yeah, heavy. He's in the Hall of Fame too. Yep. Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Hey, I mean. Yeah. That money, man.
Yeah.
Money. That money.
When y'all coming on my show?
Whenever.
Yeah, whenever.
I would love to have on my.
I'm good for weekends. I'm good for weekends.
Y'all weekend. Okay.
Yeah,
Next
weekend.
I want to interview y'all.
Cool. Right.
Next
I'm in
weekend,
school, so.
Y'all. Okay, fair enough.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
What's your name again, bro?
Oh, Deshaun Richardson.
Deshaun. Okay, cool. Because I know she would tell me about you, but I didn't know your name. Okay, cool.
Okay,
yeah. So next weekend we want y'all in there.
So Shamira, what's your finishing move?
My finishing move.
TJ's is the
Mine is the what?
The bitch slap.
Cookie dunk.
She said the bitch slap. That's good enough. Hey, Brian, I got a final question for you because I know you got to go. what's going on with your bed? Did you have a Kirishita back there? Because I know you love them Japanese wrestling women. Who
No,
you
I
got
just
in your
finished
bed?
doing laundry. I just finished doing laundry. I just covered it up. It's just laundry.
I thought you had some women up under that you were harboring, man.
Well, I'm waiting until the my gas card clears, and then I'll hit the road to Jacksonville to comfort Hikaru Shida. Yeah.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right,
$400 limit on my Chevron card.
Hey, listen, TJ, thank you so much for joining in on our.
No problem. Anytime.
Brian, thanks for tuning in and
Appreciate it,
joining as well.
Brian.
TJ,
yes, ma'am.
give us your Insta, your Periscope, everything, all information.
You can follow me on Twitter at it's TJTime91, on Periscope, TJDAProdigy. That's for Periscope, it's capital TJ, capital DA. It's the Prodigy, not THE, but DA. Then capital P, and everything else is lowercase. On my YouTube, it's Kraken TJ on my YouTube, which is just starting off, so don't make fun of me. I'm getting used to YouTube. So, but yeah, you can follow me on everything. Everybody, thanks for Rich Sports. I'm trying to really build a relationship with them. They might be rotating guests on my show if they want to. Weekends is perfect because that'll give my guests a break during the week, and that's because they only allow you 3 slots on Periscope. So I want both of y'all to call in at the same time once and just talk about wrestling. I don't know how much wrestling y'all know, but wrestling or football or whatever y'all want to discuss. I'm open for y'all discuss whatever y'all want. Yeah.
Hey, Brian.
When y'all come to Chicago, I have to get y'all some pizza too.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Brian, you want to give your ads, socials?
On Twitter, I'm Thailander1980. On Snapchat, I am Thailander1980. And on Instagram, I am Thailander80. I am no more Facebook. Screw Facebook. I'm tired of the Dear Diary BS.
Alrighty. Well, hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. This is your girl, Shamira Rich.
Your boy, Deshaun Richardson.
The Prodigy, Brian, and we're out of here.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, later.
Thank you guys
Peace.
so much.
All right.
Cookie dunk.